attention to this one. She would be speaking on entrepreneurship opportunities in fisheries and aquaculture resources. Our speaker, Mrs. Shelika, is a seasoned and highly energetic entrepreneur of over 70 years. Our venture into entrepreneurship started with fashion designing and trading in Adire Farm back in university days. It comes as a surprise that after a short career of 6 years in several industries, from oil servicing, media and advertising, as well as banking, to resolve for entrepreneurship, which was her first love when she saw an opportunity to provide value in the aquaculture value chain. Today, she is the Chief Operating Officer of Jeff's Smoked Edibles, a fishing processing and trading company, and also the current President, African Women Fish Processors and Traders Network, where she is responsible for promoting fish policies on processing and trading. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome to the mic Mrs. Shelika. A round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone, once again. As every other speaker, permit me to also stand on the established protocol in the room. I'm glad to be here once again. It's always an opportunity. Honorable Violet is one person I cannot say no to. She sent me the message I think last month, but she noticed that I didn't respond because I know the date was not convenient at all. My niece is getting married. The engagement was yesterday. I got back to my room 2 a.m. My presentation slides I had to work on 8 a.m. this morning. Because she's a very important person to me, I don't intend to say no to her. I've never done that thing. I've always just tried to be around it. And it's because she's doing so well. She's passionate, and her tenacity as regards everything that has to do with ocean. She's been someone since I met her in 2020, the story has been different. So I want to say kudos to you, sis. You're doing very well. Okay, I know that part of me she doesn't know. I also have a postgraduate degree in education. I started teaching when I was 18, but it was more like for Sunday school. It was just something I had passion in. I read marketing. I also have a degree in computer science engineering. And it's just been something I liked. I've taught in some schools pro bono, maybe for like a term, and then I leave. I just wanted to know more about it and how I could impact on other people. I have my own kids, and just like what my director said initially, that he gets violent while he's teaching his children. Yes, it could be frustrating, and my husband couldn't just deal with it. So I had to stop working after I had my set of twins, because I really wanted to dedicate that time to helping them grow. So I had to stay home with them till they were 10 years old before I went back into entrepreneurship and every other thing. So I just wanted to say that so that you know that nothing stops you unless you stop yourself. Yes, we make excuses for ourselves to say why I can't do it. I have enough excuse to tell her I can't make it today. But excuses never get you anywhere. You are the only ones that can stop yourself. Okay, let's get to the business of the day. I'll be talking about the entrepreneurial opportunities in fisheries and aquaculture and the resources that surround it. I didn't just dive into fisheries and aquaculture. I don't have a degree in fisheries and aquaculture. From onset, I don't know anything about it. But permit me to say it was a divine encounter. And while I was working at a media and advertising agency, I was getting frustrated and tired. And then I heard, you have to do something in fisheries. As at that time, I'd not had my set of twins, but I heard the business name, Afcfta. And I got up, I started rebuking and said, God forbid, what kind of name is that? Afcfta. Not at this time, no, I don't need that. But guess what? Somehow we got there. The interest came on, and it didn't stop at just selling fish. I went more into it. I'm also a policymaker in that space. So for you to, just like the first statement I made, that nobody can stop you, nothing can stop you unless you stop yourself. So as a teacher, don't think that's the only thing I have to do. We have to go to school 7 o'clock, we close at 5. There's so many opportunities that you can latch on to better yourself. Thank God now we have technology to write on. So you need to be ready and positioned. You're not here by accident. I don't believe in accidents. Wherever I find myself, there's something to learn, there's something to go on with. Don't think Honorable has just invited you to be here today. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. At least take home something from here today that drives you to your next stop. So please, take that home. Can I have my, okay. So we are here now, entrepreneurial opportunities in fisheries and aquaculture. Next slide, please. Just a few definitions. Like I said, apologies, I just did this morning, so I omitted some definitions that I have already in my book. Fisheries is the occupation or industry of catching or rearing fish. Catching in the sense that we get it from the wild. And then, right now in Lagos State, we have the cage culture, whereby you build a cage on the water, and then you trap fish in it, and then you take care of them from there. And most of us are used to just the ponds, the tarpaulin, the concrete ponds, and the likes of them. And it's an area with large population of valuable ocean organisms, which are valuable and renewable resources. That's it. Because fish doesn't just end about, it doesn't end at just eating it. Last week I was at a settlement after Ibeju, it's called Urimedu. And I was happy that Mr. Aldo said something about it briefly. In the waterways, we could actually generate power by the waves at the front, what's it called, the landing sites at the waterways. And so last week I got a partner from the UK, so we went to a settlement whereby their story was what moved me. On a weekly basis, they get about 100 tons of fish. 100 tons of fish. But guess what? Because they cannot preserve it, that fish goes bad. And the sad part of it is they bury it just by the riverbank. And then when it decays and all, there comes an outbreak. And so I got a partner, and they're going to build a cold room that will be powered by the wave energy. And for me, that's a big one, because it's something we are not leveraging on. Unfortunately, they got a wind of it in Lagos State that powering energy through the wave and using the wave energy. And it's something the government is trying to buy into, that now it's not just even for the fishes and aquaculture, but also to generate energy for homes in Lagos. I'm proud to be a part of that, and I pray this is the light of day after this regime, because next week we start a new era in Nigeria. Okay, so secondly, aquaculture is the farming of fish, shrimp, and algae, and other seafood. Aquaculture supplies fish such as catfish, tilapia, and pangasius. I know a lot of us are more familiar with catfish, which is the regular fish we see all around. But now, in aquaculture, they're introducing more species. We have tilapia, yes, we're used to that. Pangasius is this fish that it's been imported from Thailand. Most of the time it's the smoked version you see. They open it inside out when it's smoked. But now in Nigeria, it's being bred as a local fish, and it's for our own consumption. You can get it fresh, and you can also get it smoked. Then we're talking about the Afcfta agreement, the African Continental Trade-Free Agreement, which right now is in 43 member states. And that's a big one for us. I started my business because I wanted to leverage on exports. I was not ready to play small in the Nigerian market, because what I saw there was not, it wasn't something I could deal with. My husband is from a part of the north where fish was just like the major delicacies. I realized every time I buy fish from the market, you see all those worms and all of that. As a new bride, it was frustrating for me because I just want to trash it. And growing up in the north, I was used to just the fresh ones. So I had to think and say, what can I do to stop this? There has to be something to be done. And then I heard about FIRO, the Federal Research Institute at Oshodi. I went there to learn how to smoke fish and to the export standard, whereby I won't be turned away. But unfortunately, 2 years into my business, they slammed the ban on Nigeria from exporting fish to the EU, and also to the US. But that didn't stop us. But thank God for this agreement now. We can actually trade within the African states. And then for blue economy, I'm going to define it as UN has defined it. They said blue economy is the use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihoods, and jobs while preserving the health of the ocean ecosystem. I know we've all visited the most beaches in Lagos here. And one major issue I've always had is the amount of dirt. And not just even, I said the beach because that's the most familiar part. And really, that does more harm to the water than any good. And this, I would say, we are all guilty of. Because when we all go to the beach, we eat anything. It's a Nigerian thing. We're not taught how to really trash, properly. Half of the time, we just trash our beds anywhere possible. So it's difficult to go out and want to keep those things in your bag until you get home. You just throw it anywhere, and then that pollutes our waters. Okay, here are visuals of fisheries and aquaculture. I talked about the cage culture. That's what we have in the middle. These are the local fishermen and women where they go on their wooden boats to the sea and get the fish. And that is another technology. That's also a cage culture. But these ones are the technologies we are used to, which is the tanks and all of that we have at home now. Okay, then I talk about the value chains in fisheries and aquaculture. This is quite very important, and this is one of the reasons why we are talking about the entrepreneurial advantages. Careers as a practitioner is good. Okay, mention just a few. With producers, and that doesn't, when you hear producer, it doesn't mean, okay, we are producing, they're just producing the fish. They're also in 2 or 3 aspects. The ones that breed the fish in the pond or in the river. And those has to do with the hatchers, those that hatch the fish. Mr. Aldi spoke about that, a family that just have a space where they hatch the fish. You don't have to participate in all the value chains. Know your strength and stay there. I'm a processor. I don't have any business in breeding fish. All I have to do is come and buy, take off your fish, go and process it to the various, to the various packages. We have the smoked chunks, we have the ring, we have the fish powder, we have the fish sausage, we have the fish snack, we have the fish, the one for burger, and the likes of that. So it's for you to know your strength and know where to play. Yes, we have a lot of people that want to play all through. They will be the ones to hatch their fish. They'll be the ones to rear the fish for 6 months. They will process it. They will now have to be the ones to sell it again. So at the end of the day, they are all stressed. So for you as a teacher, we're talking about side hustles now. And it's not just about the side hustle. It's also how you can actually impart it. I bet to say my children are my first staff. I have 3 girls, and I pay them every time I have to process. I think after COVID, I had to sack all my staffs. And I told them, from now on, this is what pays, this is what meets part of your needs. You have to be responsible for it. So if we have to process fish, the 3 of them are going to do that. And afterwards, I give them their stipends. I don't even say I'll pay it in the bank. But I need them to understand that working, being dutiful, as a young girl, helps you to be a better person. And we are learning financial empowerment even from now. So don't just let it stop at you. You can also cascade it into the students that you're teaching. So marketers and the processors, that is those that change the fish from one form to the other, which are the different packages that I've talked about. And then marketer, that is the person that helps to process the fish. You might not have the time to be the one to process the fish. You can look for somebody that has nice packages that you know has put in all the efforts to smoke the fish. You can buy off them and sell. I realized in when you're in a working environment, it's easier for you to build your customer base. While I left my job, my first customer was referred to me. I got to her office before she even arrived. And she got in, told her PA, her secretary, and said, some woman will be bringing fish for me. Please, when she comes, I don't have to see her. Just collect it from her. But guess what? I was nicely dressed in a white trouser suit. And she was like, oh, you're here to see me? I said, yes, good morning, ma'am. I've been waiting for you. And she said, oh, come into my office. And I carried my package along and went in. When we got to, she said, how may I help you? I said, okay, my name is Shelika, Chief Operating Officer of Jessica Edibles, and I'm here to deliver the fish you requested. Oh my God. Did you hear what I just? I said, no, it's fine. It's one of those things. Guess what? 10 years down the line, she's still my ace customer. Whenever she has to travel, she will just be like, no, it's either your fish or nothing. So it also goes with the packaging. When I got into the business, that was when I realized the mentality was that women that sell fish, they always dirty, they smell, and you know, I was like, is that actually true? But yes, when I visited some landing sites, I saw that that was the norm. So we started teaching women on how to still be a fish seller. You can look good, smell good, and speak very well. And really, it's just something I love doing. And most of them are actually changing. Now you see women selling fish, they fix their nails, they do their makeups and all of that. And I'm actually happy because I'm like, if I sell fish, then who else can't? It's not about your makeup. And just like I said, you don't have to be the one to do all that. And then we talk about the feed millers. You don't have to be the one to mill the feed. But you can get a small shop where you sell them. We're talking about input supplies. It's not just the feed. There's so many other things. The nets, some other equipment that are needed to start a fish pond or processing and all of that. Next slide, please. Okay, talking about food production. Here, this is from a fish farm. I got this picture from a friend who has a cage culture at Afcfta, even the one in the middle. And this other one is also another person's, their pond, somewhere in my area. Go ahead. And when we talk about fish processing, because these are the lovely packages we have over there, I know there's a canning technology coming up. I've done the training with Neoma, but unfortunately we can't get the cans in Nigeria. It also has to be imported. There's fish snap. We cut the fish in cubes or in powders. We add pepper and all of that. Unfortunately, my apologies, I don't have any of my products here. Like I said, I wasn't coming from home. I'm already on the island for an event, so my apologies on that. And then this is the smoke drying process, where you have your smoke and clean, you dry your fish. It stays, my fish stays on the norm is for a year, but due to NAFDAC and all of that, you have to write 6 months on it because we've improved on technologies already. And because it's for an export market, it comes very dry and stays like that for months. Yes. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so talking about the success stories of fish entrepreneurs, so that you know that it's not just anything in business. This young girl lives in Makopo, Charolea. She built an app for her parents to sell their fish. Yes, it's here in Nigeria. Here in Makopo, you heard the story. I was opportune to meet her somehow in one of our engagements. So for you to know that it doesn't just end at selling the fish, rearing the fish, there are other things that could be done. She realized that marketing was a big issue in her community, and this is the way she could actually contribute to it. And that's Funke Olatune. She is a PhD student. She read fishes and aquaculture in UI, and she also has the cage culture fish. She also has, I think her own cage culture is at Onyo Dam, something like that. And then she also she has a private business in Ibadan. And this is Monica T. She also smokes fish, and she's doing very well at it. If you meet Monica, you can't smell fish on her body. She's a very pretty lady too. So this is to tell you that regardless, as a teacher, there's an opportunity for you in this space. And thank God for the Afcfta agreement, which is a major thing we are leveraging on. We're working with ITC Trade and WTO to see how we can solidify it. Before now, I was in Tanzania in 2018, and what I saw, no, I was in Uganda, and what I saw wowed me. It's a very small town. But guess what? At their landing site, they have a space for fish that is going for export. And they have a space for their local food, the fish that are going into their own local market. And that wowed me. It wasn't something big. And I know in Nigeria we can do better. But unfortunately, yes, we have a lot of people that are thinking in that space, but the policies are not helping, but that wouldn't deter us or stop us. We'll keep working at it. And I'm hopeful that probably with the new era coming on board, this Afcfta agreements can be taken to another level. And also, Nigeria is big on aquaculture. Most of the West African states are still learning. In 2021, I introduced a doctor to them in Liberia that could actually, a doctor in fisheries, Dr. Baluku, to help them, to teach them more on how to culture fish. They don't have the feed, they're just used to the regular fish from their waters. But they said it's not enough for them. They also want to culture their own fish. So we are like their senior brother in this, and if we can't leverage on it, it's a sorry case for us. But we're working on it to see how we can really be a part of this big story. Gambia is interested in Nigerian catfish, and there are other things that could be done with the catfish. I saw, it was in Uganda, I saw a lady that made bags. I didn't bring the pots, with fish leather. And that was big for me. When she said it, all she did was to color it. It's a pink pot. It was, African catfish. That one has skin on it. It was the skin they used as a leather for a pot. So there's a lot of opportunities that we can leverage on, regardless of what we are doing. We need to, she said we should think outside the box. But I would say, think without the box. Imagine no box is existence.
Why?
Just imagine there's no box. Because a box is limiting. So you're still thinking, okay, there's still a box. Let me just take 1 square meter out of the box. But if you imagine there's no box at all, the sky is just a stepping stone. In conclusion, fisheries and aquaculture is a lucrative business if done in the right way. I better tell you that. If it's done the right way, you would make your money in good time. Sometimes I can make just one supply, and I make as much as 50,000 on one supply. So imagine if I have to do that supply from Monday to Friday. That's 250,000. And you know what that means? I just gotta sit down now. So it's a very lucrative business if it's done right and you minimize your risk that you're exposing yourself to. Then know your interest, research on it, discuss it, get a mentor in that line. Most of the time, I realize that we know our interests, but we are not ready to do the work. We are not ready to do the research. When I got into this space, there's a woman I think everybody knows. She's big on exports, Free J Consult. I went to work with her for 6 months without salary, just to learn the ropes. I went to learn the ropes with her. I was her procurement manager then. And she was like, I can't pay you. I said, I'm not here for the money. The knowledge I got from her, anytime, any day, if she's called and says, is there somebody you can give us in the dash? She said, no, I have someone. Because that knowledge has been transferred. Don't think, oh, I know it all. Once I read it on Google. No, practical experience is quite different from what you read. And that's what we do in schools too. Aside the teacher telling us, we go beyond asking the children. That's why we give them assignments. So do it yourself. Experience how to do it aside what your teacher has taught you in class. So know what your strengths are before you even get into it. Do your research, know much about it. Then look for somebody already doing it. Talk to them and let them take you through a hand-holding process. And also, leveraging on technology, which is very important. What can you do out of your comfort zone or in your comfort zone without you having to go? As a teacher, I don't expect you to be carrying fish all around to do deliveries and all of that. And thank God for the internet and all those things. So it's something you can get into as a business and you will never regretted. And then finally, I said business management training. Please, that's very important. Half of the time you don't like trainings on business. It's just to sell and let me just add 20 naira on it. And no, it goes beyond that. That will help you run a successful business. Thank you so much for listening.